Yo, 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 what's up, everyone? It's Justin, editor of Rapzilla.com, and we have episode 24 of Community During Chaos. So today we are going to be speaking to Fern, one half of Social Club Misfits, and then we have a double shot of Die Daily with Dillon Chase and Kyle Peacock, who's actually the co-founder, along with Cadence of Die Daily.
I had to go in the car, man. I hope this works.
No, hey, we're already looking better than last time. I could actually see the color of your skin and your beard and everything.
I'm here, man. I had to relocate. You know what I'm saying?
You're good. You got a nice car vibe.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. How you
Yeah.
doing? What's poppin'?
I'm doing good, man. I'm really excited to have you here. We got you in before season 1 ended, man.
Yeah.
75.
You got me in before my bedtime.
Yeah, I know. I was like, all right, I'll do him the favor and put him on at 9 instead of 10.
I appreciate that, man.
Man, this is next week will be 25 straight weeks of doing interviews, and it'll be 75 interviews total. You are on week 24. I need a 2-month break after this, and then we'll get started again, season 2 in the new year. But you're here now. Dillon Chase is going to be up after you, and Kyle Peacock. Man, I'm so excited to talk to you. For everyone tuning in from Fern's page, my name is Justin. I'm the editor of Rapzilla. This is Community During Chaos. Every week, I get together with 3 different people in our space, and we talk about this craziness of 2020, how we've gotten through it, the important conversations we've had, what we can do to be better leaders in our community and use our platforms for positivity and change, just fighting against everything that's like coming against us. You know, we're the leaders in this space, so what can we do to encourage people? So Fern, my first question to you is the same as everyone. Man, all this craziness in 2020, you got COVID, you got the civil unrest, you got crazy election cycle, just uncertainty at all times. How have you been able to navigate yourself and your family and just get through this 2020?
You know, I mean, I've gone through some tough times in my life. So, and even down to being away, even down to being, I call it quarantine, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't anything that was new to me. Um, a lot of my faith that I had all this time, or a lot of the faith that we talk about, especially being an artist, you talk about faith, you sing about faith, you rap about faith.
Yeah.
But when does it really get put into play? You know what I mean? I think this year, for a lot of us, this year really put all that into play. We've been rapping about it, we've been writing about it. Obviously it's always time to put it into play, but there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go but to God. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in Nightglow, I said, this year my faith was tested. I never wavered. The only friend that I had was Jesus, like, literally. You know what I'm saying? We were all social distancing. Everybody was away. Even to this day, like, it's still a little bit separate. But just faith, relying on faith, man. Had to go back to like that analog and dig deep, into that core. You know what I'm saying? And just really relying on that faith.
Yeah, man, I feel that 100%. And what's this year been like? Your kids. I know your kids are younger, but I'm sure that there's been some tough conversations or just weird situations that you'd have to go through with your kids that you would have never imagined. So how have they handled everything, and what are those conversations like?
It's a beautiful thing. Before pandemic, for a year, we went without a dinner table. You know what I'm saying? Because we had one, but we kind of got rid of it. It was a little bit older. And then for like a year, we kind of like, we had the little TV trays. We had, we wound up eating dinner, without realizing that we didn't have a dinner table for a year. And then I remember my son's birthday came, and he was like, "Dad, it'll be my dream come true if we get a new dining room table."
Man.
But for him saying that just clicked. I'm like, okay, I can't let that pass. Because if he wants to be at the dinner table, me knowing how like the family nucleus has been, so attacked, you know what I mean? I wouldn't let that happen in my home ever. And I nipped it right in the bud. And then I remember when he said that, maybe about a month or two later, I purchased a new, dining room table. And we eat there every single day. And it's been one of the most beautiful times of the day when we get together at dinner time, and he leads us off in prayer. He's still leading us off in prayer for the last 2 months. Santino,
Nice.
and just to let y'all know, he's been praying for y'all. if somebody's been affected by COVID-19 or a family member, he's been praying for that. It's been like the
Amazing.
same reoccurring prayer. He'll say it, then he'll add a couple things from the day. But just being together and just being, uh just spending those moments together. And yes, some of those talks have come up. And to be honest, man, I'm blessed with some of the coolest kids. And sometimes I wonder, it's just the way me and my wife talk. We keep it so real with them, and we're just so down to earth with them. And even though we meet them where they are in the communication, we keep it as real with them as possible. And it's been the dopest thing to be able to kind of just look at yourself. Like when I see my son, I see myself. So I always see myself trying to help the little Fern, to realize what's going on in a language that only Big Fern could tell him. You know what I'm saying? So it's just been amazing. Um, we just had a great time having dinner before they're all relaxing now in the house watching a movie. But it's just been an amazing time. Usually I would be on the road, Justin. We were doing
Yeah.
250 dates out of the year. This is the first time probably in 10 years that we weren't on the road, period. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I just thank God, because I had to realize, you could get caught up in your head and you could get like, man, what's going on? When we gonna get back on the road and all types of things. Or I could have did what the Lord put in my heart, was like, hey, all those times you were on the road, all those times you were in the back of that tour bus texting your wife wishing you were home. For the last 9 months, I've allowed you to catch up with your family. I've allowed you, hey, it didn't look like what you thought it was gonna look like, but you
Yeah.
asked for those times. You wanted to be home a lot of those times. And you have to find a way for them to realize that these times come, and not the same way you would think that they will come, but they're here. And I've really found the silver lining for me was restoring and just investing that time in my family, where I wouldn't have had these days home with them, and the bonds that I'm
Yeah.
reigniting. Because obviously a parent, a lot of us rappers, we travel, and we have a relationship with our children, but there's something special to be able to be with them on a daily basis that's really unheard of for a traveling musician. So this year was super surreal and special at the same time, and I've come to find peace with it and find grips with it. The
Yeah.
Lord put some closure in my heart on that. He's like, literally, that's the way I understood it. Like, all those times that you were away, just take this time. It doesn't look how you want it to, but take this time and really invest in your children. You're with them right now. It's going to pick up again. You're going to probably get right back on that road again. But right now, I want you to focus on it. So, just family.
Yeah, man, that's so relatable for me, because for years, my wife and I, and when my daughter was born, we'd be eating in front of the TV. We had a coffee table that folded out like into a table, like it came up, and we would eat in front of there. And then we threw the coffee table out because, it got busted. It's like, what do we do? Like, well, we have a dining room table. Why don't we sit down as a family and we eat at a table instead of in front of the TV every night? And
Very
it's a
important.
major key. It's definitely a major key. I know
Before you
yeah,
even stop, because that's so important. I'm glad you're piggybacking off of it. But whoever's
yeah,
tuning in right now, I know y'all all got dining room tables in your house. But I just want to make a point with Justin right now, how important it is. If you're not having dinner at your dinner tables because you're like, oh, my little son's in the living room, and my daughter's I can see her, but she's over there with her dinner TV tray, and mom's over here watching a show. Listen, there's something gonna be beautiful about everybody getting together at the same time, putting them phones away, and just taking time to communicate while you break some bread, man.
yeah. And I've said this many times on the show, and I'll say it again because you're here. We may never have another time in our lives where you have 4 people in your family, I have 4 people in mine. So the 4 of us are all together as a family. No one's in school, dad's not going to work, mom's not going to work. You're just the 4 members of your family all together all at once. That may never happen again in your entire life. So for people,
that probably hasn't happened up to this point in anybody's life.
Right. My wife was commuting to work, or if, I was going somewhere, or, you got your kids going to school or whatever, but everybody is together. And if you were blessed and privileged to have that family unit all together,
yes, sir.
This should be the greatest time of your life, no matter how inconvenient or probably as a parent extra exhausted you are because of all the constant togetherness. One of the things what I had wanted to ask you was, what have you learned about your family during this time? But you kind of said that. So do you think that there's something that your kids learned about you in this period of time now that you've been around so often?
Well, I would hope and Santino's sleeping, but if he was in this car, I would turn my head and be like, "You talk to him. You let him know." I would hope. I would hope that they would be able to say, because this is what I've tried to instill is that no matter what we had going on, if it was raining, if Daddy's always trying to make them as comfortable as possible. Daddy's always trying to let them know that he loves them constantly, anytime. Because we're like you said, we're always in the house all day. Anytime I walk by, my son's right there watching his little show or something, or if I just walk by him or her, I'm kissing them on the head. I'm walking by, I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm always trying to like interact and engage with them. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like yesterday, it was me and my son, and we were in the backyard and just doing water balloons and just I cut out these little holes in the grass, where he previously had made some mud puddles, and so now we do mud puddles. And I'm like, hey buddy, you want some mud puddles? And like, we'll dig up some holes, fill them up with water, play some water balloons, get in the backyard and just start engaging. You know, we play baseball, we play football, frisbee back there. But it's like
Nice.
me constantly, I want to make sure that I get that daily. He's like, we call it father-son activities. So we
Yeah.
want to make sure, I know we can't really go to the places we want to go. We can't really, today we went grocery shopping as a family, and that was the first time, like, to pick out fruits together, because we're all eating healthy now in our house too.
Yep.
They
Yep.
noticed
Yep.
Daddy made the shift, and they know I've been eating alkaline, and they notice. And now my son and my daughter's like, "Is that alkaline, Daddy? Is that alkaline for kids?" And they're just giving me that opportunity, because they see the hard work that I put in,
Hmm.
just trying to really change my diet and the way I eat. But make a long story short, man, the kids have just been amazing. It's just been a beautiful, beautiful season. Yes, there's been times that me as a man, as the father, my foundation tries to get shaken because I'm a protector. I'm the husband
Hmm.
to my wife, and I make sure that things are fine. Finances and things of that nature always have to be on deck. And so, I just thank the Lord that during this time, He allowed me to like really sit still. Even though we put out the album, thank God, Social Club Misfits album, we were able to bring the dove home for album of the year. um but during the last 9 months, thank you, during the last 9 months though, I've been literally sitting still, and just like seeing what God wants to do. We haven't had to go anywhere. Me as a musician, I really haven't had to go anywhere. I've literally been sitting still. So I've been taking the last 9 months literally to see what the Lord want to birth inside me. You know what I'm saying? Here's 9 months later, and what's about to come out. So working on my solo album now as well. There's just a bunch of things that I've had time to work on, that I would have never had time to work on if we were on the road, constantly traveling back and forth. So regardless of what your situation is, if you have a roof over your head, if you have food, send a picture to Play the Dads at Play the Dads. If you're cooking right, if your kitchen game is fire, send it to Justin so he could post you.
Plated by dads. I'll drop that. I'll drop that in the bottom. But go ahead.
But I want to say that, if you have a roof, it sounds cliche, but I'm a Puerto Rican man, from the inner city, man. And in my lifetime, I got involved in some crazy stuff. I went to jail. I had that stamp on me. It's hard for me to get a job. Music literally saved my life. If I didn't do music, I don't know what would have happened in this pandemic, because I wouldn't have not necessarily had a job. Make a long story short, the Lord, everything that I went through in life was a culmination of what I had to be right now. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
regardless of the pandemic, regardless of what was going on, the Lord allowed me and my family to make it through. And I want to say and send my love to any family out there, any father out there, you know what I'm saying? Not knowing where your next meal is gonna come from, you're not knowing if your job's gonna be around, you're worrying about an impending lockdown. Just know that at this point in time, you can't take your eye off the ball. You got to continue to push through. You got to continue to keep your faith in God, because especially if that's what brought you to this point. Like me, that's what brought Justin, that's what brought me to this point, my faith. When I
Hmm.
came home, I could have made music, doing whatever I wanted to do. My sister told me, hey man, I know you want to make music, but I really feel you should go this direction. The Lord's gonna work it out for you. And I listened to it, man, and the Lord did work it out for me. You know what I mean? He really did work it out and gave me the desires of my heart doing music. But even in this pandemic, I've been able to find peace and solace and still be able to be a leader in my home,
Yeah.
because of my unwavering faith, because I know that's all I have, Justin. If I take my eye off the ball right now, it's going to crumble and fall. And I'm aware of that 100%. And that's how I live every day. I wake up. Keep your eye on the ball, Fern. Keep your eye on God. Don't waver. it's gonna fall down if you waver. Imagine it's no pressure, but it's all the pressure, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know where I was, and I know what it took to get there, and I know what it took to get me out. And I love the feeling of being out. And
That's
so,
real, man.
and I love the fact that, look, I still get to blog with my dog Justin, one of the dopest bloggers in the game. I'm right
Thank
here.
you.
I'm right here. And so God has allowed me to see all these things without having to waver, without having to, go to this way, or having to try this, or no. He said, listen, the same way I got you here, I'm gonna keep you here, and I'm gonna move you forward. You know what I'm saying? So it's just been an amazing time to be able to see the Lord move even through a situation like this, and in my family as well.
Yeah, man, that was real. Thank you for that. And one of the things you mentioned, which is a huge part of your testimony, is you being in prison, and then you emerged out of prison, this new person, almost like a cocoon. You came out of that cocoon. But if you could think about, what it was like in prison, and how do you think, or what would be the most difficult part of being behind bars now during this pandemic, during this craziness? I know Lecrae was doing some, initiatives, giving masks to inmates and things like that. But a lot of people forget, about the least of these, in these situations, that people behind bars are people too. So if you had to, like, kind of imagine what it's been like, or what it would be like there now, what would you say?
I always remember when I was locked up. And I remember the times ever since I've been locked up. So when I look back, I'm like, I was blessed to probably do some of the sweetest time. I know this sounds crazy, but this is me. This is my experience, to do some
Yeah.
of the sweetest time that a prisoner could do. Because now, seeing the way that, the way that the world is now, the way that the system is, even, now, even worse, um, it's just incredible to think what doing time would be now. You know what I'm saying? I remember
Hmm.
even down to the price of the food, to the cost of the food. When I was in there, the food was like pennies on. It was like nothing. It was like a case of ramen soup was like $4.25, and then you get your 24 soups. You're buying your tuna, you're buying your sausage, your cheese squeezes, and all your chips
Yeah.
and all this stuff. I would spend $25, Justin, and I would have groceries for 2 weeks. I would be like set. You know what I mean? And I remember, like, even just months into it, the prices went up. I could just imagine being in prison right now without having any loved ones really having your back. Or imagine during COVID-19 with the worry of getting sick, and and you might
Yeah.
just have a small petty drug charge or something like that. And now you're kind of looking at a life or a death sentence because you're kind of locked up, and it's just a real unopportune time to be locked up. But at the end of the day, man, I tell everybody who's locked up right now at the sound of my voice, just cling to your faith. That's all you got. If you got appeals in, keep fighting them appeals. If you got your lawyer, stay in communication with your lawyer. If you fighting your case, stay on top of your game. Make sure that you got all your paperwork right, because the least of the little mess ups in the paperwork could throw the case back, could make you have to continue for at another
Hmm.
later date. You have to make sure all your stuff is on point. But this day and age, to be in prison, it's got to be one of the roughest times on earth to be in prison. Now you're just talking America, because prisons abroad are worse.
Worse.
So
Yeah.
imagine. I'm just talking about America, where you could probably go somewhere else, and those people be like, "Well, in America, they're still doing time like Disney World." You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
but I'm gonna tell you, man, this probably gotta be one of the worst times for a family member to have to worry about their loved one being an inmate in prison as well. So everybody who's locked up, shout out to my cousin. I know he's locked up as well still. Keep your head up. We got a lot of people out here praying for y'all. We know it's a crazy time. And we're gonna keep standing in the gap, and we're gonna keep praying in faith for you guys. And Godspeed, God bless.
Dope, man. Thank you for that. And have you personally, or maybe Social Club as a group, have been able to, like, get involved in any community initiatives, or anything to kind of add conversations or add a voice in your platform during all this craziness?
Well, to be honest, where we're at right now, we're still it's still a lot of high numbers around. So me personally, my family hasn't been gathering as much as we would
Hmm.
like to. Four of us,
Yeah.
plus my wife's a teacher. I got two small children who go to school. So,
Right.
she's been asked to always be careful. Every time she goes home on the weekends, to be careful. They got to try to stay on their best to go back to school and always be healthy.
Mhm.
So it's been a sacrifice, even on my part, to just stay healthy and stay good, so everybody could, keep these type of systems rolling. So I could even say the fact that we've been so gung ho on staying healthy and just playing our part to keep those type of small systems even running is a labor of love. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people going out doing whatever they want, and that's one thing I want to say. If we all continue to do this pandemic however we want versus how we should be doing it, then we're all going to be all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like we had certain we were doing this pandemic already for months, and you would think that the numbers would be down, but you got some states not wearing masks. You got this guy not wanting to wear a mask. This guy's mad because you're wearing a mask. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we're not on the same page. If we all got on the same page for whatever the allotted time was, um and I don't want any type of shutdown for the country, but I do want us to get to a place where we could all work or do something. That's why Fern wears a mask. That's why y'all see me maybe on Instagram. I have my little thing on, my little shield. I don't do that for me, even though, of course, I do it for me, but I do it because I want to hurry up and we could all finish this up. So
Yeah.
me and Justin could be face to face in a dope studio and doing this dope podcast. And not have to worry about corona, where for years nobody, how many times people were breathing on us and we didn't even care, and now it's like, so I just pray that we could all get on the same page on this. I know it's tough. I know, like today, I had to wear a mask to go to the grocery store, and I was there probably for 20 minutes, and I felt the pressure on my ear, and I felt all that. You feel me? But it was never in my mind, I'm gonna take this mask off because it's my time, and none of that.
Yeah.
I want to just get it done, be responsible, show my respect, and just do what we got to do so we could get over this hump already. Because there's a lot of beautiful life to live still, and I don't believe it ends here yet. So I would just love to tell everybody, continue to do what we have to do so we could stop this spread, so we could all you know, get back to the love. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, I feel like a lot of this is causing a lot of anguish in the family, in social circles, and
Yeah.
communities. Which is the beautiful name for this show, Community During Chaos, because I know a lot of communities aren't as strong as we used to be. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, I would pray, and instead of just talking about it, I would pray that this could come to some sort of culmination so we could start to congregate better. Because I know a lot of people are opening up and maybe given the opportunities to congregate, but I know a lot of families aren't ready to go out like that or have responsibilities to other things that they
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah.
careful about. So there's a lot of things going on, but I pray that we could all meet and kind of see some common ground in that, so we could get this done already. You know.
Yeah, man. Amazing. And what I guess you kind of said it a little bit, but outside of some of the stuff you just said, what are your hopes and dreams for the future? Like, I know the future, like things so much changes from like week to week now. But
Yeah.
like, what's the ideal situation heading into 2021? What would you like to see just for this country, for yourself, for your
Yeah.
family?
I would love to see peace. I would love to see happiness. I would love to see unity. I would love to see prosperity as a whole for the whole country, that we can start prospering and thriving. I would love to see, musicians get back to work. I would love to see those who don't have a job get back to work and feel that sense of pride that they have for bringing home finances for their family, which has a lot to do with mental health, which has a lot to do with the
Mhm.
inner core of the home. Um, I pray for those who don't have any opportunities, because I know that's one of the main things I pray for opportunities to open back up. For whether you're a musician, whether you're a writer, where there's a lot of opportunity I know online, but there's a lot of great opportunity when we get to network outside of online. Those dope coffee meetups at the coffee shop that turn into a
Mhm.
dope interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah.
that. And I know, and I'm not just gonna be petty and be like, oh, I hope things open up so we could do our interviews and stuff. Nah, I just hope that we could get back to a place where humanity could start to be human again. You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of us, I like that. You could quote me. I just want to come to a place where we could just be human again. And then some people could be like, hey man, when was humanity ever human? We're like, it's been crazy for a minute. I'm like, it probably has, but I went through some crazy times. And if Fern's telling you that he's seen some humane things in this humanity, then it's possibly true. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen the worst and I've seen the best. And I still see some future and I still see some potential in this generation. I'm not giving up on it at all. I'm willing to fight for it. I'm willing to stand here in the gap for it. I pray for it every single day because I'm part of it and I need it to win. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I'm just excited to see where the Lord is going to take it 2021. I hope we're back touring. I hope you're in a green room somewhere, you know what I'm saying, meeting us to interview us
Yeah,
again. And so I can offer you the whole spread, all the food, and like Justin, man, just have break bread and then meet me in the green room so we can do this interview with Marty. But I hope we get on the road again. But like I said, everything in God's timing. I would hate to, start doing shows and there's spikes and things of that nature. Everything in God's timing. And because it is in God's timing, I know everything will be perfect at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm on it.
absolutely. Yeah, man. It's just like right after I started this show, it kind of sparked after the craziness after George Floyd and the protesting and all the social unrest. So I was like, you know what? Let's actually like talk about this year and these issues. So everyone's like, well, when are you going to end this thing? And I was like, listen, it sounds sad, but our communities are always going to be in some sort of chaos,
Yeah.
whether it was COVID, whether it was going to be George Floyd, an election, whatever it's going to be in 2021, there's always going to be some sort of chaos. And there's always got to be people to help us get through it and lead through it, and people that are wiser than the next man. Right. So like I said, it's going to be 75 people that I speak to. If for everyone watching and for myself, that's 75 different pairs of shoes that I got to walk a mile in and just figure out how we can move forward, how we can move forward, how we can learn, how we can grow. We're not always going to agree, but there's always something that we can take from one another and be like, wow, this person gets it. Maybe I could apply this to my life. So man, I appreciate you so much for letting me walk in your shoes this week, even though you're sitting in the car. But so the album is Feared by Hell. It's out now. Fern, drop some plugs. Where can people follow you, listen to your music and all that?
Absolutely, man. You could follow Social Club Misfits at Social Club Misfits. Anywhere on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at Fernie_SC. SC is for Social Club, obviously. And we got a brand new album that we just dropped called Feared by Hell. Got a lot of bops on there for y'all to be vibing to. Also, shameless plug, shout out to my brother Marty, but we got that Dove Award for the Hip Hop Album of the Year. That was super legendary. We appreciate all the support that we get from the Rapzilla family on everything we always do.
Yep.
That's why I'm in the car right now with this light beaming on my face. You feel me? But man, you guys always show a lot of love, a lot of support. I appreciate you guys continuing to run with the torch. All right.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, bro. Talk to you soon.
Hit me up. One love.
All right. Peace.
You got it.
Shout out to Fern of Social Club. That was dope. Really appreciate his heart and everything you have to say. Now we're going live with my guy, Dillon Chase. How you doing,
I like it, though. I'm here for it. Man, if that's not the most loaded question of 2020.
What do you mean? How are you doing? In what way?
Honestly, I'm doing well. This weekend, we got to have a Die Daily retreat with some of the other Die Daily members. So feeling refreshed, but at the same time, there's a lot going on. Being like in the Midwest, COVID kind of like started out on the coast and then just slowly. So now now we're seeing like a lot of people are having to deal with it. Hopefully there's a lot of repentance going on for the people who really downplayed it, because it's wrecking shop in some places now.
Yeah, man, I'm in New York City, so we've been wreck shop, and then we got better, and then it's coming back because everyone's like, oh, we're okay now, and it's like that's not really how it works. But what has your 2020 been like? Everything that I mentioned, kind of run the gamut of it.
Yeah. Can I do one thing real quick before I jump into that?
Yeah.
PSA about the Dove Award situation.
Yeah, go for it.
Because even the producers hit me up today like, hey, per our conversation, are you going to let people know the full story? So they had every intention of me being on the Dove Awards up until the day that it aired. They were trying to find a way to make it work. I don't want to get into details, but just some big time technical difficulties with the audio files that they had. And there was an oversight and my audio was distorted. And being such a professional, high quality award show, They tried to rescue it, but they weren't able to. They apologized for the lack of communication on their end, that I wasn't made aware of it. People on my team weren't made aware of it. And yeah, so they wished me well. They let me know it was not like anything against me or against CHH. It was just technical difficulties, man. I got to just, rappers, we like to really go for it. So next time I got to ease up off the mic, start eating the mic.
pull it back.
Yeah, so that's that.
All right, now write my follow-up story after we hop off. But
yeah, I don't want the double word goons, coming for me.
They
son.
Come with those gold statues and start pelting you with them.
Yeah, but 2020, wow, it's almost over. Man.
The longest and shortest year at once, right?
I'll tell you that 2020, a lot of disappointment and a lot of, rediscovering what matters most and reprioritizing my life. Just seeing God. I've known God as a provider this year in ways I've never known because I've needed him so much. Being a full-time, musician, and a lot of my income comes from touring, and I mainly like piggyback off of other events like conferences and partnering with local churches, right? So if those things are shut down, then I'm shut down too. And, it's funny because first I was like, oh, okay, this is cute. We're shut down. We got a stimulus check and the Tiger King documentary just came out. So like everything's going to be okay.
This is great.
I was being, I was being super creative. I knocked out an impromptu single. I think I recorded 3 music videos that were just like really push myself creatively. And then by like the end of May, I hit a wall. Like that's when I realized that, man, my rhythm of being out and traveling and hearing people's stories, that's huge in my creativity, like the fuel to my creativity. And you take that away. So yeah, then you start seeing like May, June, I'm battling depression and just feeling like a bum for one, because like I felt like I wasn't providing like I needed to for my family. And then around here, things kind of started opening up in July. So actually half the month of July, I was pretty busy. But then, yeah, I think we all saw that once you do that, you have to start shutting down again. So then then at the end of July, I finished my album Grounded. I put that out in October. And so now I'm just kind of hanging on until 2021 comes.
Until you get the next call from the Dove Awards to do a redo.
That'd be great.
Yeah, man. It's like I said, it's the longest and shortest year at the same time. It's so many ups and downs and fluctuations. It's insane. But as I was talking about with Fern, I'm not sure if you caught the whole thing, but like what do you have? 4 kids, 5 kids?
4, yeah. 5 counting the dog.
Yeah. So you may never have another, point of time in your life where you're all together as a family unit like this now.
Yeah,
so
sure.
In that sense, like you're not on the road. I don't know if your wife works, but she's not going to work. Your kids aren't going to school. So like you're all just together. So that there's little blessings you can grab amongst this chaos, which for me, that's one of mine with my family.
One thing is that my church family, because my family actually in a weird way has been a part of my rhythm of traveling and things like that, especially my son was my DJ for 6 years. My family travels with me to a lot of my events. So, it has been great being with my family, but what's been more of a surprise to me is just like having people from my church come over, like being involved in my local church community more I realized how much I needed it, man. Like I'd fallen out of that rhythm, and it's been so good to get to know people who I've been going to church with for years, but I've never had them over to my house and stuff because it's been so busy.
Yeah. Can you like dive a little deeper into that, since that is the whole theme of the show? Like what specifically, if anything, have you been able to, I guess, to offer or provide within your community or, within your platform? Just, in your neighborhoods, there's a lot of craziness going on.
Yeah. One is like, for another CHH artist is I was able to open up my home, and my dude Coop spent like a full week with us, and I was able to invest into him, help him work on his album. I was able to get some visuals done for him, you know, musically. So that was awesome. And then just people in my church that have been around me, but like we've never actually got to get to know each other and to serve each other. And so that's been awesome, having especially early on,
Mm-hmm.
whenever our church was shut down, you know, meeting in small groups and having worship and things like that. And then just being in a new neighborhood. I moved into a new neighborhood like right after COVID hit, you know what I mean? Like that was totally not planned. So that was kind of rough. But once some of the restrictions started to lift, getting to know my neighbors, you know what I mean? Like that's something that I've never I don't want to say I haven't been able to. I've never made the time to do that.
Yeah, it's wild. You're like, of all the people I've had on this show, at least like 10 or more people moved during COVID. And I'm like, what is it with you guys? Why is everybody moving during the worst possible time to move?
I know. Shout out to those interest rates though.
Yeah, right. And people trying to escape on that, like, you know, Hawaii vacation for $300 or like whatever it is.
We got the ball rolling on moving like in January, and so
okay,
we kind of we had no idea what was about to happen.
Yep. You had to finish up. So during all this, what have the conversation has been like with your kids, and you know, have you been able to explain the country and the world and everything that's going on, you know, with the social injustice and just, you know, people upset and different things like that?
Yeah, you know, it varies on their age. So It's been cool to see, you know, I have a teenager, and to see and really with him, it's less me telling him, it's more about me asking him questions and seeing where he's at. So it's been really interesting to see that. And there's another interesting dynamic where Julian has always wanted to be a police officer. So there's that whole tension there.
Yeah.
And, you know, so long conversations. And then it has been good for my girls, you know, they're 8 and 5 years old, to let them know, like, this is a time to let them know how complicated our history in America is. But of course, being very like age appropriate with that.
Of course.
Because they're both very sympathetic girls. So I don't want to like overwhelm them. But my main thing is, I know like as a dad, I'm not like called to give them like a false sense of comfort and peace, you know, but I am called to model for them like peace that surpasses understanding and comfort in light of eternity, in light of knowing Christ. So it's like, I can't just like be like, don't worry, everything's okay. We're not going to get COVID, or this isn't going to affect us. It's like, no, like the world is crying out and the world is groaning, and this is a fallen place. Our only peace and our hope is that this is momentary and this is light when you compare it to eternity with Jesus. So, yeah.
Of course. And have they been home, or have they actually been going to school?
You know, we were one of those weird homeschool families before this hit, so it's just been life as usual. Yeah, we got a homeschool van and everything.
Nothing's changed for you. So you're still Professor Dillon.
Yes.
At home.
You know, my wife is a part-time nurse, and so here, like this last month, she's been working more. You know, because I just like what normally would happen with me. You know, normally this is a slower season for artists anyway. But normally, like, you know, I try to plan accordingly during the busy months, but I haven't had that to pull from. So anyway, my wife has been working more. So homeschool is a trip, bro. One day of homeschool is like 2 weeks of touring.
And you're teaching all different ages too.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, Julian, he's already done. He finished school early. But yeah, 8 and 5. And then also our youngest son, we also had to deal with like his autism diagnosis this year. We found out he was severely autistic, and just coming out of denial, and then realizing like, oh, like this is why life has kind of been difficult. Like we thought we fell off as parents because like nothing was working that worked with the other kids. And, you know, he's speech delayed and things like that. So he's almost 4, but he doesn't talk or anything. So yeah, that's been a whole other thing that's happened this year. 2020, I'm like, whoever told you 2020 was your year, you better go punch them. Like they lied to you.
Yeah. 2020,
that's the year.
No. I made a joke on an earlier episode when they're talking about the Mayan calendar and the Earth ending in 2012. what they really did was messed up with the number, and they meant 2020, because like this is the year that needs to get thrown away for a lot
we
of
needed like a reset, do over.
A reset. So hopefully when that ball drops on January 1st, that's it goes out. That's our reset. We could only hope and pray. So what, I guess in this season, what have you learned maybe more than anything before about your family, and just, you know, how to be a better person within your community, a better father? Like, is there a key takeaway that you've had during kind of this extra free time that you've had?
Oh man, right there is, like, pride is a very sneaky thing. And I still wrestle with this, and being home and having free time has exposed my like unnecessary appetite to always be doing something. So, I mean, one area is like, even when I had so much time to rest, it was like I was refusing to rest. And it's like, that's actually kind of like a prideful thing, to not recognize that you need to rest, that it's okay. So it was really hard to be okay with being home, you know, and to say, you know what, every moment is irreplaceable. I need to make the most of my time. And whenever discouragement and worry and anxiety, you know, hit, I had to learn to not look towards 2020, not look towards my situation, but look to the Lord and say, man, all these waves and this storm of 2020, like, let this just push me closer and closer in to the presence of Jesus. Like, I think that's what God designs suffering to be, like, to be something that causes us to lean more on him. And to be able to do that as a family is beautiful. When church was shut down and on Sundays, like, we were just having family worship and just having church as a family, like, those are going to be moments I cherish for, you know, the rest of my life.
Yeah. Sam, that was a careless comment of me to throw it away. You're right, because then, you know, I've just had Fern and Dillon Chase on here talking about all the lessons, you know, they've learned through 2020, and you never would have learned those lessons perhaps if a year like this didn't happen. So
true.
So sometimes we need maybe not a full year of total chaos, but maybe sometimes that chaos, as you said, is growing, and it births something new within all of us.
Shout out to all the memes that 2020 has inspired. Great memes.
Yeah, we would have never gotten these incredible memes. We did it really, really. We did it all for the memes. That's what we did. It
came out of this.
That's what we did it. So for you, like as an entrepreneur, and, you know, as somebody who is always looking for a way to be creative, and now you're hampered on that creativity as far as executing, you know, what has been something that you've been trying to accomplish, or what are some things that you've done that you've maybe never done before?
I thought I had it in here, but it's in my room. I'm learning to play ukulele.
Well, there you go. Yep. Will that be on the next Dillon Chase album?
I can't answer that yet, but there's a good chance.
See if you figure it out. You gotta see
if I can just get rid of, like, it gives me carpal tunnel when I play it. No, so I've poured a lot of my time into creatively trying to learn new instruments. And I know you did like stuff like with more of like a band too. Did you play any instruments in the band, or were you just like this vocalist?
When I was a teenager, from like 13 to about 19, I was a drummer. But I played in like a lot of punk bands and stuff. And then I was like, yo, I like to write music, and, you know, I could rap a little, I could sing a little bit. I like being a front man. So I got out from behind the drum set. But the funny thing was,
drummer move.
I had crazy stage fright, which is why I originally had chosen the drums. So I used to have a keyboard that I would just stand behind, kind of like as a prop. And my guitar player would show me like 2 chords to play. And I would literally sit there and press 2 keys and then do like my vocals. But that was what I was hiding behind. And then one day we forgot the keyboard, and it was like
the moment.
And it was like, all right, Justin, just get up there and be a front man. And then I figured it out.
Dude.
And then I never looked back. So yeah.
Well, I say that because, like, I mean, you have a little bit of experience with other instruments, but I think, man, for me, it's like, if I can't, if I'm not using my creativity to plan out my live set and to perform, it's like, let me humble myself and try to learn a new instrument, in my 30s. And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
like this is so hard. This is like it was when I first started rapping at 13 years old. And that's been really
Yeah.
cool, trying to learn a new instrument, trying to get better at piano. And then, not to sound corny, but honestly, God showed me that there's so many creative ways I can serve my family. And so just funneling that creativity into helping with homeschool, helping my wife, using creativity to try to engage with our autistic son and like get him to make eye contact. And like one huge victory we had is finally he gives high fives. Like he did not get that
Nice.
social cue. And I used all my creativity for like 2 weeks straight. And now he gives high fives, which is like the coolest thing ever for us. So yeah, man, creativity is not limited to just the arts. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Creativity is a great tool in every like facet of life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of people are kind of on that, learning tip this season, if they could afford to give it that time. Like for
Yeah.
me, I downloaded an app called Babbel and I'm trying to learn Spanish.
Bro, I'm
I've
learning
been,
Japanese when I'm using like Busu, I think is what it's called. It's like
okay.
but I've heard about Babbel. Do I need to switch?
I don't know. I found a good deal. It was like 75% off. So I went with it. And like,
Okay.
I've been half Puerto Rican my whole life, but I've never spoken any full Spanish in my full life, even though a lot of my family has. So I was like, you know what,
And then everyone assumes you can probably.
yeah. And then I'm like, let's try to, my grandmother speaks English, but I'm like, let's try to surprise my grandmother with the little
Oh, that's
paragraph
awesome.
in Spanish. Not going that well so far, but I'm working on it. I
That's like you
got,
see this
yeah,
little poster right there on the wall. It's like a little white poster.
yeah.
That's like all the hiragana. That's the Japanese alphabet. But these crazy people have three
Nice.
alphabets. But I got one of their alphabets down now. Finally know all the symbols for it, and now I got two more alphabets to go. So we'll see.
And my daughter just learned the alphabet a couple of weeks ago too. So you're
Hey,
all you're in
turn
the,
up.
you're
I'm
in the
almost
same
on her
boat.
level. Yeah, I know
You know
it
what I'm
is
saying?
like that though with a new language.
Yeah, it's starting from scratch. It's crazy. And I want to learn the keyboard. How to play the piano for real. So I'm getting
More
that
than two
repaired.
chords.
And then I'm gonna learn it with my daughter. I was like, let's sit down. We'll get like a little instructional kids book, which I have. And I'm like, we'll just
Hey,
sit down and we'll play it
daddy
together and we'll
daughter
both
time.
learn. Yep. So
That's
these
awesome.
things are so important, and they may not seem important, but like I feel like when I've had these moments as kids, like when I was a kid, like whether it be my father, my mother, my grandfather,
Mm,
whoever it was, like it's something I can always remember vividly. Like
yeah.
I remember when I was, 4 years old and I went to a baseball game with my grandfather. Like that's a memory I will always have.
And
So
wow, yeah.
yeah, so it's just like you never, these things. Like Fern says, every time he walks past his son or his daughter, he gives him a little kiss on the head. That
Yeah.
doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but it's like I love you all the time. It's
Yeah.
like you're hitting them, your kids with that.
And it
I think
adds
it's
up.
it's so important. It's so important, and they learn love that way too. So, man, but before we get into a father festive conversation,
Yes, I
let
know.
me
I'm ready,
let me
bro.
yeah, we're we become those people. Oh man, all they do is talk about their kids. So
That's what happens. Just wait. If you ever have
I know.
kids.
Yep. I got two of them. That's all I do now, and I'm at home with them all day, so that's all I have to reference.
Yeah,
But
that's all.
so my
Bro.
final question for you is, what are you praying for and wishing for 2021 and getting into this new year? What would you like to see for yourself personally, and I guess maybe for the nation, just for everyone around?
Yeah. Man, I sense a shift going on in my life. I don't know if it's because I turned 35 in October. I don't know if it's because
Mm-hmm.
2020 has been so crazy. But for the first time in my life of doing music, I could see like the end. I don't know when the end is going to be, but I feel like I can sense it and I'm at peace with it. And so in 2021, I'm praying for God to either do this. Either 2021 goes great, I'm touring, I'm speaking at places, I'm booked, but I'm not satisfied with it. Or I'm praying God, like just dry up the opportunities. And like, if this door needs to close now, close it and send me where I need to go, you know, whether that's church planning, whether that's, I don't know, but I'm just kind of telling God, like, I'm willing. So I'm hoping 2021 will reveal what the next step will look like. Cause like I said, I could be speaking just from the emotion of like how 2020 has just made me feel like, what do I do, God? Like, this is what I've done for you for like a decade and now I can't do it. So what am I supposed to do now? So maybe 2021, things will be safer and I could go out and be on the road again and partnering with churches. I would love that. But, you know, I'm just hoping that the church will be the church, you know, that the church won't be so focused on being like a nonprofit 501c3 or whatever and worried about that and their tax exempt status and worrying about how many people they can have in their building, and that the church would just be the body and the bride of Christ, you know? And it's like,
Absolutely.
when I've spent time in cultures where the church is not a powerhouse, where the church is not friends with the government, the church doesn't expect the government to be friendly with them, man, there's like a purity in that, in the understanding and application of the gospel. And I'm in the Bible Belt. And as we sense this shift, you could almost feel like that toddler when he has this toy taken away from him and he like throws a fit. And it's like, no, there's other toys. There's other things you can do. And I just hope the church in 2021, even if things get worse, that they would mobilize and respond and shift and transition into where we could still be effective, you know, in the culture. And I think we could be more effective in many ways. So, yeah.
Man, I remember when you were here just a couple of weeks ago, and you know, you said it before, how you said you kind of got your start with Lecrae in sort of way. Well, Lecrae on this show said for the first time that he was probably going to be stepping away or retiring from music after this last project.
Man, you get all the exclusives.
And now you've come on here and you said you're starting to see the end. So you guys may also go out together, maybe.
That'd be cool.
And you both made that announcement on my show.
Look, man, look how you just do things to people. You make them want to quit, Justin. That's what it is.
That's what it is. These questions are so hard. So hard, man. Just asking you questions about your kids, man. I really just, I can't take it. Man, I appreciate you and your heart. And, you know, I pray that you have that discernment and that you're able to figure it out. I hope it's not the end for you, but if it is the end for you, as far as rapping, I'm sure that you're going to be moving into that next step very carefully, very full throttle, and you're going to make something happen there too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'll catch you later. I'm gonna give an update to the Devil Ward situation.
See ya.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.
But now we have Kyle, and Kyle doesn't have kids, but he does very important things. So we're gonna talk about that. Hey.
Oh my God, bro.
What
Can
up?
you hear me? Everything good? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you.
Oh,
You look fantastic,
bro. Man, Dillon. I mean, we talked a little bit about this weekend. He's not quitting. He's rapping till he's like 105. He ain't quitting.
He's got too many kids to feed.
That's right. Yeah, man. So how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad I finally got you on here. You know, I waited to the second to last episode, but that was on purpose. It's like, I'm going to save my really good, you know, friends till the end, because I can get them anytime.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm not doing anything, so.
Yeah, I know. Dillon said he didn't want to throw out your government, but you don't have a rap name. So like your government name is your name.
That's true. Yeah.
So we had Fern of Social Club Misfits lead off the show. We had Dillon Chase up second, and now we have another Die Daily member. We've had several on the show.
Yeah,
we had
man.
CJ Lucky. We had Cadence. We're gonna have OB next week. I know OB is a Die Daily affiliate. So, man, Kyle, you are doing incredible urban missionary work and working in the urban communities. You don't sound like a New Yorker for sure, but you're here in the middle of New York City. You're more New York City than I am. Like you take buses and trains and stuff, and I don't do that. You're around massive amount of people, and I have trees and deer in Staten Island. So we're living a different New York City experience. So let me ask you, someone who's involved in this urban outreach and ministry, specifically in New York City, how have the difficulties of this year like affected you and what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, man. So for those who don't know who I am, like I do urban ministry. I do mission trips to New York City for youth groups from all over the country. They schedule mission trips through me, and they come to New York City to do, short-term mission trips for like a weekend or a week. I help different churches across in all 5 boroughs, New York City, help them do outreach and help them do their evangelism program. And all of that, before COVID was in-person things. So, like it's really been difficult doing outreach or not doing outreach, but how to creatively do outreach without it being an in-person event. So, I had about 10 or 12 mission trips that got canceled between spring and the fall. So there's probably about 200 people that were coming to New York City to do mission trips that just couldn't come. We had these whole like lineup of outreaches and dope outreaches throughout Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Queens, and Manhattan, and even Staten Island. But man, it was just kind of like
forgotten borough.
Yeah, man. But with COVID, man, and all the restrictions, it was just kind of like we couldn't do it. So we had to like kind of like readjust and say, okay, like how do we still serve our community? How do we serve our community as a local church and all that, and have it be virtual? So that's been the tough thing, man, is how to do outreach virtually and not in person.
Yeah. So how has that been? Basically trying to do this virtually, and I can't imagine, maybe it is that it is as effective as kind of that one-to-one in-person thing.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing, is like you do outreach in a way to make an impact in somebody's life, and spiritually impact them and emotionally impact them. But when you just and you use items and you use different things as a bait to pull them in. So the bait would be like pick up a bag of groceries from the food pantry, but we're going to have a conversation with you and we're going to build relationships with you. So we have to be creative with how are we going to impact, because there's not a lot of impact in someone just coming off to a food pantry, and we have to stay 6 feet away from them and say, hey, pick up your groceries over there. Yeah. See you, God bless. And it's because I'm not a fan of drive-by ministry. Like I want to sit down, I want to talk to you, I want to have a relationship with you, because especially in the urban context, people need to build trust and you need to bond with someone. So you're not going to have a spiritual or emotional impact on somebody the first time. Sometimes you do, but most times you have to build consistency. So you have to serve them. Yeah. You have to serve them 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they trust you enough to have amazing conversations. So that's the thing. I've lived on Zoom. I mean, I have Zoom meetings every day. It's crazy. And we try to have impactful Zooms, but at the end of the day, it's still technology, and you can only go so far on it. So
yeah, I feel that. Shout out to Angie Rose and T. Wyla in the chat right now.
Yeah, man.
Both have been on the show, both doing great work. Angie was actually the first episode of Community During Chaos.
Bro, she's awesome, bro. Like I go up to her, shout out to Miss Melinda's Garden, her after school program. I take my mission teams there. She always treats them awesomely. She is doing amazing things in Co-op City.
And T. Weil, I believe, was in my first 5 episodes. And everyone, do yourself a favor, go click on his page. He's about to do something amazing. You could, as a follow-up to what he spoke about weeks and weeks ago, with feeding his community and a bunch of communities. So you can go check that out.
Yeah, bro. And shout out to you for connecting me and T. Wyla. Like you hit me up on Telegram. You're like, hey, you need to meet T. Wyla. We had like a 2-hour conversation. We've talked multiple times, and we're actually going to be doing. T. Wyla is going to hopefully do some stuff in New York City through that connection. So, man, shout out to you for connecting us.
Yeah, man. I lost both of you as a friend, and now you guys are just friends with each other. You're going to do stuff without me. So what is the normal stream of your ministry, or what your day-to-day would look like had all of this not been happening? Because I know, like, technically you kind of just started this job.
Yeah.
Right?
So like,
and then now you're really just thrown into like absolute, like, here's how you do your job. Oh wait, never mind. Figure out a whole new way.
Yeah, so I was brought on staff at a church in East Flatbush, Brooklyn, Church of God of East Flatbush. I was brought on staff as their Urban Reach New York City director or coordinator. So my job description is twofold. One is to start a nonprofit called Urban Reach NYC to help churches all across New York City do outreach. So we actually got our 501c3 approved, and all the paperwork came through the day quarantine started in New York City. So it was like, man, I couldn't even open a bank account up for my nonprofit for 3 months. I was sitting on all this kind of stuff for 3 months. So, I mean, that was crazy. The other side of my job description is the church that I'm a part of has been there for 50 years in Church of God of East Flatbush, and it's a 100% Caribbean church. Everybody, you go to church at my church, you think you're in Jamaica, and I'm the only white guy there, and I'm the only like pretty much non-Caribbean there too. And we had just bought, a couple of years ago, they had bought 2 city blocks in Brownsville, Brooklyn. So in Brownsville, Brooklyn, we are building an apartment complex for low income housing, and we're putting our church in the lobby of that apartment complex. So we're literally going to have 600 apartment units and thousands of people living on top of our church. So I'm trying to get us to like get out of the Caribbean mindset and say, like, because East Flatbush, Brooklyn is the mecca for the Caribbean congregation in New York City, but Brownsville is not. Brownsville is not Caribbean at all. So we have to shift the way we do church to reach the new community that we're moving into.
Yeah, man, that's wild. So I can imagine that has been a bit difficult this year, but hopefully, I mean, when things turn around, that'll be like such an amazing experience.
Yeah, everybody's been amazing with it. The congregation is amazing. Like I was, when they hired me to do this job, I was really nervous that the congregation was going to fight it, because there's a white Southern Tennessee dude coming into a Caribbean church to say, hey, y'all don't need to be Caribbeans anymore, but they have been amazing. Everything I've said, they've been on board with it. And I go into leadership training and they love it. And then I get some curry chicken and some jerk chicken out of the deal. So I'm set, bro.
During like these difficult times, uncertainty and all that, how important is it for you to do what you do and have those conversations with the neighborhoods and with the communities that you're working through?
Yeah. So one thing that's been amazing in this time we're living in is me and my bishop, R.C. Hugh Nelson, has really got to sit back and say, like, how can we reimagine doing church and serving our community? Not only just because of COVID, but the racial injustice and the George Floyd stuff is like, I'm a white guy in an African-American community in the heart of Brooklyn. And I have Southern ties and I have Tennessee ties and I have Bible Belt ties. So it's like my Facebook is split down the middle, bro. It's like, it's Trumpers to the Trump side and, Biden to the Biden side and everything in between. And no matter what I say or do, one side kind of gets
somebody's mad at you. Yep.
So it's been an amazing opportunity for me as a white dude from Tennessee to come up to New York City and stand with them and say, bro, like, I'm white. I understand that I have white privilege, and what is wrong, and what is right, and what's going on right now is wrong. And I have an opportunity to say, I stand with you, I love you, and we're going to try to get this right. And I'm going to try my best to play my role in this.
Dope, man. Dope. And are there any specific initiatives that Die Daily is doing in the works to target specific areas or or like focus on something because of our unique year that's happening?
Yeah, man. So like, shout out to Cadence, Marcus Jackson. Me and him started Die Daily back in 2013, and our heart was, we were both in Christian hip hop. He was a rapper and I was a road manager. And we just started looking around, man, and saying, like, all these Christian hip hop artists coming up and all the new generation, it was like their goal in Christian hip hop was Winter Jam. And it was like, that was the trajectory they thought they needed to be on. And as ministers of the gospel, as an evangelist, we have to say, like, Christian hip hop and being a rapper or being a singer or whatever you're doing, that is a part of what you do. And that is a tool that you use in your toolbox, but it's not the only tool we have. So that's kind of like when we talk about Die Daily and the Die Daily team, we really put an emphasis on being urban missionaries and you serving your family, you serving your community, and you serving in your local church through Christian hip hop sometimes, but more times it's not. Like, Marcus is a dope MC, and he can rap with the best of them, and he can produce with the best of them. He's produced for Lecrae, you know. But the thing that he does most, and the thing that his heart is in, is serving his community of the east side of Oklahoma City and doing the Bridge Urban Impact Center. Yep. So all of us in Die Daily, man, like, you got Big Rob and B Les who serve in their church. You got, like I said, B Les and Sean Johnson is working for Youth for Christ and doing gang prevention and at-risk youth. They're always in the juvenile detention facilities. So, I mean, we just try to, everybody in Die Daily does serve their community in some form or fashion. And that's why we're here, bro.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. And, you know, every time you know, I've been with you guys, that's been what you've been in the middle of doing. You'll invite me out and be like, hey, we're doing this today in New York City. I have, you know, Sean up, I have Marcus up, you had Jerry Skrills, you had, you know, everybody that one time, Dre. And it was just like, being with you guys was like being with family, but then also watching you guys work was incredible. Like, I kind of just stood back and I just watched you do what you do. And man, Kyle, just from hanging out with you, you know, I just see your heart and I see what you're doing and just following along. I might not always be messaging you because you're messaging T. Weiland now, but you know, I notice what all you guys are doing, and you know, I greatly appreciate your efforts, man. All I do is talk to people.
No, I mean, that's the thing, bro. Like, anything that happens through like T. Weiland and me is because of you. So you did your role and you connected, man. Like, being a dot connector, and that's one thing that I love about my spiritual gift, I think sometimes, is I understand that a lot of times I'm not a dot, but I'm the person that connects the dot. And like, all I have to do is say A meet B, and I just sit back and watch God work. And that's what you did. And I mean, it's just amazing to see somebody with your heart, that all you do is want to connect people, bro. Like, everything that happens over those connections is because you stepped out and wanted to make that connection. So I mean, it was nothing for you to be like, bro, like, I just talked to T. Weiland, he needs somebody, you need to talk to him. Like, bro, that is because of you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And man, I think it's an important topic I'll just get into, because it's just me and you here. You're on last. We could just talk.
Yeah,
no one's after Kyle.
Yeah. I see A Ward in here. What's up, A Ward?
What up, A Ward? And just like, you know, I've never been somebody who's been out there like as like an evangelist, like it, or, you know, like on the streets, like doing that sort of work. But like, not everyone's called to do that. But one thing that I felt that I have this unique ability to do, or that I could be called to do, is just plug people together. Like you were saying, be that dot connector. It doesn't really take much for me to send out an email or to send out a telegram to affect a whole load of people through a ministry, right? Like, if I can't physically be there, if I'm not the one preaching a sermon or doing outreach, I can connect to people that could do that. And I guess in a way, and then even having these conversations and telling people stories, you know, that's a way to advance the gospel.
Yep.
So I guess that is the gift that God gave me to do that. Maybe I'll never be on stage at a pulpit or, you know, handing out tracts or praying with people at concerts or whatever. But, I'm using my gift in a way that I feel that I can.
Yeah, bro.
And doing this show, has been a great blessing. As I said to Fern, it's like 75 different conversations that I've had, and the opportunity to let everyone and myself experience a day in the life of someone else's shoes that can contribute to someone's knowledge of God or someone's encouragement or inspiration to help their community. So I don't take that privilege for granted at all on this platform.
Yeah, and that's even kind of with me. Like, for those who don't know, like, after we're over, go to my Instagram page. You can watch my whole testimony. But the bullet points is I grew up in a group home, an orphanage. Like, I was born in an anti-abortion program. Like, I don't know who my biological parents are. I grew up in a group home, hated God, hated Christians, hated Christianity. My Christian background actually pushed me away from Jesus growing up. And when I was on a mission trip to New York City when I was 15 years old, Jesus revealed himself to me in an amazing way through the mission trip. Now, when I got back, like, group home people, we listen to hip hop. So I was like, Christian hip hop is how I'm going to save my friends and save the group home.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't rap, I can't sing, I can't do any of that kind of stuff. But I realized I had a gifting in organization. So I got on my MySpace account and I messaged everybody. One of those was Cadence with a group from Exodus. And from 15 to 18 years old, I hosted like 20 outreach concerts on my group home campus. Now, I was a part of Christian hip hop, but I never rapped a bar in my life. But I was making an impact off stage. So, not everybody's going to be a missionary. Not everybody's going to go out and preach the gospel to millions and millions of people, but you can be a person that supports those people.
Mm-hmm. And we need more of those people.
Yeah.
We need in every facet, whether you're speaking about ministry, whether you're speaking about music, whether you're speaking about business, there's always going to be like the face of something,
right?
Like that leader, that person who's out there. It's like, oh, that's the famous guy. Everyone knows that guy.
Yeah,
but behind that famous guy might be a whole team of people that without them, that famous guy isn't in front of you.
Facts,
or that famous woman isn't in front of you.
All the way, man.
So it's those people behind you that are really carrying, oftentimes carrying the torch or giving that opportunity. And I feel like it's just so rewarding to be on that side of it too. Like, everybody wants the chance to be that face, to be that platform. But there comes a point when you have to realize, maybe it's not going to happen for you. And if it's not going to happen for you, what can you do to still be involved with whatever that initiative is, whatever that business, ministry, music, whatever it is. It's super important to find that, and you could still be just as impactful. And yeah, that's I guess that was a brief little sermon for myself, like a little bit of ministry talk from me. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you and appreciate everything that you're doing, and kind of the brotherhood of artists that you helped bring me into. That was your little dot connection for me. And I didn't know you at all. And you just hit me up on Instagram and you're like, hey, give me like a last word. Like, what do you think we could expect, I guess, from you or from your ministry coming 2021? And like, what are you hoping to see?
Yeah, bro. I mean, we got so much popping right now, and it's just kind of like we're trying to figure out what it's going to look like, if it's going to be in person or virtual. But we are definitely moving to an apartment complex in Brownsville, and we are definitely going to be serving people in that apartment complex, and then everything else is just going to be gravy. But we're looking at, I just did Socktober, where we raised money to buy warm winter socks for homeless people in New York City.
Awesome.
We have over 80,000 people that live in homeless shelters in New York City every night, and then another 25 to 30,000 people that have to live on the streets. So they have told us through 10 years of doing homeless ministry that they need warm socks. That is the number one requested item on the street is warm socks. Yeah. So we are going to be handing out socks all winter long. It's Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be handing out winter socks. We're also looking at getting a food truck next year, where we're just going to have just the food truck is going to be going out everywhere, feeding people, after school programs with kids. I mean, I'm just super excited about it. You can follow at Urban Reach NYC. I mean, it's just there's just so much things that I'm super excited about. Any way that I can serve my community of New York City, whether it be in Brooklyn or Queens. I live in Astoria, Queens. Angie's up in the Bronx doing amazing things. There's so many people doing amazing things in New York City, and we need your help. We need your prayers. We need your support. We need you to come up here on mission trips. I'm looking at booking mission trips again, hopefully in June or July, depending on how COVID comes out. But, bro, you know.
Somebody, I'm watching the comments. Somebody asked how they can donate.
Yeah, so you can donate by going to urbanreachnyc.org. So yeah, you just go there. There's a Warm NYC tab where you can donate to the Warm Socks Initiative, or you can hit the donate button and you can donate to what we're doing outside the Warm Socks Initiative.
Dope, man. I saw Caden say Justin is low key die daily. I would say high key because in every video you see me, I'm wearing either one of the hats.
Bro. Yeah, I got the hoodie on now. I don't know if you can see it, but
yeah, I got it. And y'all could thank Jerry Skrills, who did not join us in this chat, but Jerry Skrills is the wardrobe plug for Justin.
Yeah,
I got PJ pants on underneath. I threw this on just from the top up that you could see me on the lives. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Jerry Skrills. Shout out to the whole Die Daily team. I love y'all.
Hey, and shout out to you guys for, being awesome. Rapzilla's awesome. You guys took OB, man. We love OB. He does amazing things. Rapzilla has always been amazing, not only to Die Daily, but the Christian hip hop genre. Mm-hmm. Like when I first got into Christian hip hop, it was corny and it was bad. And it was like, everybody was just remixing like mainstream stuff. And like you guys were a big reason. Rapzilla.com was a big reason of letting the artists and making the artists up their standards. And you guys are a big part of making the artists produce better music. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah, I'll accept that on behalf of Rapzilla because I wasn't there when that stuff when the shift happened, but I'm here now. So I will accept that. Thank you. All right, man. Well, Kyle, I'm gonna let you go, man. I hope I see you soon. That's not like this, like actually in person. And maybe at that point we'll just be able to like just pound it, and we don't have to hug because we might get in trouble for that. But man, I look forward to all those trips whenever you give me the call. Yo, the guys are in town. Let's go.
Yeah, man. We were talking about it this weekend. We're gonna, as soon as COVID allows us, we're gonna have a Die Daily thing up here.
Dope.
We're looking at doing like a Die Daily conference. I mean, we're looking at doing a bunch of things. So we're just kind of waiting for these travel restrictions, bro.
Yeah, man. Let me know. I'm there.
All right, bro.
And all right, man. So I will talk to you later. And I appreciate you.
All right, see you, bro.
Peace. All right, everyone. That was Kyle Peacock, founder of Die Daily, kind of the maestro behind the scenes because he's not a rapper. I'm not a rapper. Shout out to the dope conversations we had tonight with Fern of Social Club Misfits, Dillon Chase, and of course, Kyle, who was just on here. Shout out to all of you in the comments. That's it. One more week. See y'all next Monday. Peace.